Are you struggling to find the right routine as a trader? Now, when someone mentions seven-figure trading routine, you might think about supercars, watches, luxury vacations, but we all know that's not the reality. Now, if you've dabbled in trading at all, you've probably experienced something more along the lines of rolling out of bed in your pajamas, gluing yourself to the screens for the next 8 hours, and realize that you're just working a 9 to 5 in the comfort of your own home. But the daily routine for any trader plays such a massive role in our performance and profitability. And not having the right daily habits can mean the difference between making and losing vast sums of money. So that's why in this video, I'm going to share with you my everyday routine so you know exactly what it's like to live the life of a seven-figure trader. By the way, I'm Kyle, otherwise known as JCap. I'm a full-time trader who's withdrawn over $1 million from prop firms in the past few years. And on this channel, I share the strategies, processes, and tools I use in order to help you become a more successful trader. But enough talking, let's get right into the video. All right, this is a topic that in my opinion, has such a big impact on our trading that we oftentimes don't even realize, how much of an effect it has on our day-to-day performance. So in this video, we're going to just talk about what is it actually like to be a seven-figure trader. Right? It's not all glitz and glam. A lot of the times it's you're locked in your office, you're grinding, you're journaling, you're looking at data, things like that. All right. So I'm going to talk about typically what I do the prior day, my pre-market game plan, what I do during the trading session, journaling, reviewing, and then other daily habits. Right? These habits drive 90% of my performance. If I have a bad week, there's going to be parts of this routine that I'm just not keeping up on. Maybe I'm skipping a workout. And a lot of times those small habits, it does have an impact on our mental wellness as well as our physical. And we're just not in game shape when it comes to trading. And with trading, every day is game day. So you have to become prepared for that trading session or that trading week. You have to be able to reset at the end of each day, gather your thoughts, come to the next day, and really try and hit it out of the park again and again and again. And unlike any other performance sport out there, right, where maybe they're playing an 82 game season or even a 16 game season, something like that, with trading, right, there's really no days off unless you're taking off the major holidays. So in order to stay consistent, we have to be able to follow the same routines day in, day out, because if we don't have consistency here, we're going to see drastically different results when it comes to our trading performance. So yes, you might see on social media all these different things that is luring you into trading. Right? Full-time trading is great. It gives you a ton of freedom, but often the day-to-day is not glamorized. And that's exactly what I'm going to talk about today, is having a proper professional schedule when it comes to trading. All right, so let's talk about our prior day or our pre-market day. So a good day for me starts the night before. So in the markets, proper preparation is key. It allows me to outline a trading plan for the next day or week, so I'm not surprised by price action. Earlier in my career, I would not have a plan. I would pretty much just show up at the charts and hope for the best. Right? I didn't have a plan. I didn't have any expectations of the market. And it does two things. All right. First of all, you're completely lost when it comes time to execute in the markets. And second of all, you don't even really know how to journal and learn from that experience because you never had expectations from the first place. So if you have an expectation coming into each week, I think the market's going to be bullish this week. Was I right or was I wrong? Instead of just, rocking up to the charts every day, sitting down, and taking a position, punting a position that you didn't plan at all, there's nothing really you can learn from that. You're basically just gambling. Okay, so my day starts the night before. So at 7 p.m., I will sit down and review the markets for the daily close. The daily close is going to tell me a lot of different things. Is the market bullish? Is it bearish? Are we just retracing? Are we respecting levels that should be respected? So from that daily close, I'm going to mark out my higher time frame levels that are important to me. And it doesn't matter what system you're using, just making sure that you're looking at these higher time frames and understanding that those higher time frames will drive a lot of your intraday decision making. So I'm sitting down, I'm marking out my higher time frame levels, whether that's weekly levels, maybe it's the previous week's low or the previous week's high or mid-range, or maybe it's just the previous day, low, high, and mid-range. All right, those things that I do at the close is so important for me understanding, well, what do I actually want to do tomorrow? And what is my bias? What is my bias going into the next day? Then I'm going to review the calendar for any macroeconomic events that might pop up, just because I like to look at those events as, maybe there's going to be choppiness ahead of this specific news release, or maybe there's certain days that I want to avoid. You know, maybe there's a European bank holiday that I'm not aware of that I need to be aware of, right? Because it's going to affect the volatility of those specific markets. Then I'm going to identify intraday levels where a setup may form. Now, that's not required for you to do the night before. You can often show up an hour or two before the market open or before your trading session, identify those intraday levels. It shouldn't take you a whole lot of time to do this, guys. Don't spend too much time on your analysis, right? You need to be present and you need to not be burned out. And what happened to me a lot was I would sit down at night, analyze the charts, and then I would stay up all night watching the markets print, even though there was nothing going on. And by the time I sat down on my trading screen, I was burnt out. So avoid doing that. Make sure you're coming up to the charts refreshed every day. You get a good night's sleep. That is so important, all right? So again, a good night starts the night before. This is just an example of what I typically do at the end of every day. I'm just marking out some key high levels, key high time frame levels that I'm looking at. And right now we're just going over the NASDAQ. So we have this old all-time high back here, and then we have this daily fair value gap, and we have this old swing low. If we drop down into the 4 hour, you guys can see that we were rejecting this low. So overall, I'm bullish. So, you know, are old lows and highs being respected? Yes. Are bullish and bearish fair value gaps being respected? Yes. Is market structure or daily closure suggesting bullishness? Now, this is a bearish closure, but based on the news event that's coming out tomorrow, all right, this is the Tuesday's close, and then Wednesday, the 11th, we have CPI. All right, so coming into CPI, which is Wednesday, I already see that the weekly candle has already traded lower. All right, and last week was bullish, so this I'm really just expecting as manipulation ahead of that news event. All right, so after I come to this conclusion, I have my daily buys for the day. Now you can do this pre-market, just come up with some sort of game plan for you to follow the next day. That's it. Don't spend too much time on here. Either you're going to be right or you're going to be wrong. That's just part of trading. You know, you're going to get, some months are going to be 70% you're right at times, the other 30% you're wrong. And then other months it's going to be flipped. You're going to get 30% of the time correct and 70% of the time wrong. But the point is to not get so lost in the price action and the analysis, and more so focused on the process of doing this day in, day out. Yes, it's boring and monotonous once you get the hold of it, right? But once you're doing it properly, I guarantee you're going to have a lot more clarity in your trading. So now that I have my daily buys for the next day, you know, am I going to find an opportunity to go long the following day? All right, so pre-market morning routine. I already had my plan from the previous night. Now, in the morning, as soon as I wake up, whatever the time that is, 6:30, 7 o'clock, I'll drink 16 ounces of water just as soon as you wake up. Don't go straight to caffeine. There's been studies of your brain not fully being awake before digesting that caffeine can have negative effects. So you want to be able to, you know, drink some water as soon as you wake up, replenish your body in the morning before you have any caffeine. You know, give yourself some time to like kickstart yourself before you actually eat breakfast as well. You want to be able to just kind of wake yourself up for a little bit. Whether that's, you know, sitting on the patio, getting some fresh air, whatever you need to do. Then I'll typically have breakfast, you know, coffee, just so I can have trade on a full stomach. I used to work out way earlier in the morning. So before this, I used to work out at like 5 a.m. CrossFit, and it was so intense that it kind of ruined the rest of my day. So I had to switch it up. And now this is not going to, you don't have to follow this routine exactly, but I'm showing you guys how I structure my day typically. After breakfast, you know, I'll go on a morning walk or meditation, get ready for the actual trading session itself. You need to have a clear mind. You can't be bringing, past trades into your new trading day. So even if you took losses yesterday, you have to be able to completely wipe that from your memory, right? Short-term memory, and move on to the next trade, because that last trade that you took has no impact on the one that you're going to take next. All right, so after the pre-market routine is done, we're basically ready to trade. Now, having the pre-market routine is so important. Don't just skip this. Don't just wake up and go straight to the charts. All right, I guarantee you're not going to have a good time. You're not going to have a good time because you're not thinking about the plan that you put in place. And not only that, but when you sit down in front of your screens in the morning, you have all those other things that you should have done previously that you're now thinking about. You're like, oh, I need to go on a walk. I need to meditate. I need to have breakfast. But now all of a sudden you're glued to the screen. All right, so make sure you get all of this stuff done and out of the way first before you sit down in front of the charts. Now my trading session. Typically, if I'm trading FX, I might be at the charts a little bit earlier. So, the news release is coming out at like 8:30 a.m. So we will actually see an example on the next trading session of possibly getting to the screens a little bit earlier, but just around this time window. So around 3 to 4 hours I'm dedicating to trading. Sometimes it's less. If I'm swing trading, I might only have to look at the charts for an hour before I can do something else. All right, so after we've identified the daily bias that we have, the next thing I'm doing when I sit down in front of my screen is what are the characteristics that I'm looking for intraday. So I need to identify if we've traded above or below the midnight open. Now this is important because if you think about the majority of candles that close bullish, right? Almost all of them, 95 to 99% of them have a lower wick. So if that daily candle is going to close bullish, it needs to trade lower first. I need to see that in price action. And if it doesn't, and I'm bullish, right, just based on my plan coming in the day, I don't have a trade. So I need to see it trade below that midnight open. And it's a bonus if it's still trading below that midnight open by the time I get to the charts. It's not required, but the best fill prices for the day will be below that midnight open. All right, trust me. So if we have, I will then look for signatures in price that support my daily bias. And I ignore all the signatures in price that do not align with it. Now that means, if you're an ICT trader, if I'm bullish on the day, I'm ignoring any signals that are telling me bearish. And this is where so many traders mess up because they sit down in front of the charts and they say, I'm going to be bullish today. They get in front of the screens and they see a sell signal. And what happens? You take the sell signal, and by the end of the day, you're a loser, right? You've taken a loss on that trade, and you kick yourself and say, you know what? If I just stuck to my game plan, I would have made money. Because when you're day trading, you're just trying to get in alignment with the higher time frame. The higher time frame is our daily bias. So if I'm bullish on the day, why am I selling when my plan is to be bullish? Right? In fact, you should see all those sell patterns fail. They should all fail. Every single sell pattern that you see on the day should fail if the day is going to close bullish. That means if you see a bearish fair value gap or a bearish order block or a bearish breaker, they should all fail and the market should continue rallying higher through all those levels. That's exactly what I'm looking for. And you can use those to your advantage because oftentimes when those levels fail, it's providing you an opportunity to actually get long or bullish and trade in sync with your idea. Okay? Write this down, guys. Major keys. When I am bullish on the day, I am only looking for bullish signatures. And when I am bearish on the day, I am only looking for bearish signatures. Everything else is noise, okay? Then I'm going to execute the trade based on one of those following ideas. Confluence is a bonus, right? We might have a liquidity raid and a fair value gap or an order block or optimal trade entry. Don't get too crazy. There's other concepts out there, but keep it very simple, right? This is so important. Just keep it simple, making sure that you're in line with the plan that you put in place the prior day or pre-market and follow that plan thoroughly. I hate switching biases intraday. I rarely ever do that because it's gotten me in so much trouble. And I know there's a lot of traders out there that struggle with this. So if you have a problem with overtrading and flipping biases intraday, just stick to one idea for the day. There's nothing wrong with getting the idea wrong on the day and coming back tomorrow. All right, there's always another opportunity. All right, so this is the intraday price action after we tapped into that daily fair value gap. So if you guys go back a couple slides, you can pause the video, go back, look at what I was looking at. This was the price action leading up into the CPI candle. All right, so we traded down into the daily fair value gap. All right, great. When I got to the charts this morning, what did we do? We took out the Asian range low already. So market has already traded below the midnight open. That's a positive. In here, we have liquidity raids. We have all sorts of other information in here that we can use to position ourselves long. Okay, so we have a liquidity raid here. We've got a market structure shift. We have some order blocks in here. We've got a liquidity raid. We have this inverted fair value gap that printed 5 minutes prior, or sorry, 15 minutes. This is a 15-minute chart. 15 minutes prior to the CPI release. Position myself long based on what I had already outlined the night before. I am not coming, rocking up to the charts and saying, ooh, sell signal, let me short this. No, I'm only looking for reasons to go long. And if anything, I'd rather take a position that doesn't look good, that didn't follow my entry criteria, but it's at least in the direction of my daily bias. Okay, at least I followed one rule. So after we get this expansion, right, what do we want to see? We want to see all these bearish levels be invalidated, right? We trade through a bearish fair value gap. We trade through a previous daily high. Not only that, but, just remove all this price action right here. And along with what we've seen already trading down into that daily fair value gap, taking out the Asian range low, seeing an inverted fair value gap ahead of that CPI candle, we also have all this price action leading up to the CPI is below the weekly open. So when you're following along for the week, just like I mentioned on the daily, the best fill prices for the day will occur below the midnight open. Just like the best fill prices for the week will occur where? Below the weekly open. Okay, if you're looking for a bullish candle on the week, the best prices that you're going to get is below the weekly open. So anybody buying this down here would be in profit right now. And it doesn't matter if you didn't have a stop loss, okay? You're getting a better fill down here from 21,300 all the way up till 21,650. Anybody getting filled down here is getting a better price on their long than anybody buying it above the open. Just like if you were to buy the market below this midnight opening price, you're getting a better fill than if you waited till up here. All right, there's nothing wrong with getting in late. Yes, you could trade after CPI, after we're kind of tapping into this fair value gap, but we are not taking this fair value gap short. Okay, if our higher time frame buys is long, do not take short setups into that. They will fail on you. You will lose tons of money doing that. All right, by the way, if you guys are looking to trade live with me, I called out this market pretty much, this market as well as the euro live in my Discord. So if you're looking to trade live with me every single week, ask me any question you want, be part of a great community. Just make sure you check out the link in the description. So this is my trading session pretty much to a T. I am planning out my trade in advance, and then I'm just looking for signatures that align with my model. All right, that's it. Keep it very simple. Then my post-trading routine, typically I'll wrap up whenever. So if I have trades that I'm going to swing, I'll just leave them alone. Sometimes if I'm swinging Forex or crypto, I'll leave those trades alone. Just close my trading terminals though, because you will get the urge. And this is something that I cannot help you with, but part of my routine, if I get stopped out once or twice on that specific trading idea, you have to close the terminal. Otherwise, it's going to feel like the screens are calling you back in and you go on autopilot mode. All of a sudden you get revenge. You get that FOMO, you get revenge trading that sneaks in. And, a really great practice that you guys all should do is after taking a loss, just go on a 10-minute walk, go on a 15-minute walk, clear your head, come back fresh, come back when you're not so emotional about taking the loss, and then think about maybe if you want to get back into a trade. But I would not just sit there and continue to click buttons, right? Close the terminals, make it a disciplinary habit where you're going to close the terminals and don't look at them for the rest of the day. If you can do that, give yourself a pat on the back every day and build consistency that way. Post-trading routine, I'll typically close off all my terminals and go straight to the cold plunge or sauna and have lunch. Sometimes these hours are a little bit earlier, so sometimes I might end at 11:30, go to the cold plunge sauna, and then have my lunch break. All right, even during my lunch break, I try not to think about the markets. Otherwise, you're going to get that urge like, oh, I want to trade the PM session. Oh, I want to go back into the markets. You don't need to do that. All right, guys, there's so much opportunity. There's opportunities every single day. Doesn't matter how far the market's moved, you will always find another opportunity. Okay, so once the lunch break is over, I'll go back straight into work-related tasks. So I might be working on YouTube videos. I might be working on my business. I might just be working on other things that are not trading, not trading related. I mean, sometimes they are trading related. Maybe I'm journaling. Maybe I'm doing other things, but I typically reserve the journal for the end of the day. All right, then around 4 to 5, I'll go hit a workout in the gym. Again, I used to work out in the morning, but sometimes the workouts were so intense that I was pretty burned out by the time I sat in front of the charts. So I kind of flipped it around. Not only that, but I feel like the workout at the end of the day is like a great way to close off my day, because then I get to eat dinner when I get home. I get to relax and unwind. And by then, I'm pretty burnt out. So I typically will work out in the PM. It could be different for all of you guys. So that's just my post-trading routine. All right. Now, evening journaling. This is really important. And this is something that I didn't do earlier in my career. And I kick myself about it all the time because I could have improved so much faster. Now, I still journal and I still think about these things, and I still take screenshots of all my trades, right? Because it's so important. Yes, this is pretty dry, and it's like, oh, that just sounds like a regular job. But you need to understand that this is what professional traders are doing, all right? We're not going on a yacht party when I need to get all this work done, all right? Even Umar Ashraf, spend some time with him in Dubai. You know, he's working all the time. He barely made it out to dinner, all right? You know, you can invite all these, you know, people to dinner or whatever you want to do. But if you actually invite somebody that's an actual trader, we're busy. We have stuff we have to get done, all right? You know, especially during the week when it's like market hours and I need to get all this stuff done. I need to journal my trades. I need to analyze what I did wrong. I need to prepare for the next day. This is a full-time job. If you want to make 7 figures, okay, there's somebody out there that's outperforming you. They're working on their edge when you're not, okay? We're not just out here just, you know, basically just willy-nilly just placing bets in the market. That's not what we're doing, okay? So what I'll do is I'll write in all my trading executions, all right? TradeZell is great for this. I'll put in my screenshots. I'll tag my trades. So if I take a fair value gap or turtle soup or some other type of setup, I'm journaling all of that. You know, set up a playbook, making sure you're hitting all of those entry criteria. Then I'm writing down a summary of what happened. Okay, what did the market actually do? Couple screenshots of all the time frames. You know, just so you can practice reading price action and analyzing and seeing if your trading plan aligned with what happened for that day. Let's say if you planned something and the trading day didn't pan out how you expected. Well, there's a learning opportunity there. You know, maybe you did everything right and it still went against you. There's nothing wrong with that. And maybe sometimes there's nothing to learn from that. I see some journal entries from some of my students. They're like, what did I do wrong here? Honestly, sometimes you just didn't do anything wrong. But if you let that get to you and you think you did something wrong, you're going to carry that into your next trade. So when you're journaling, you have to be able to get out all those emotions. Write down everything that you're feeling, how it's making you feel, which is extremely important. Some people like to only journal their trading executions. That, to me, that doesn't mean anything. All right. I put more focus on journaling how I'm feeling about a specific day, my emotions. You know, those are the things that really, really drive your performance. Because when you're in flow, you really shouldn't have anything that's emotional to journal about. But when you're on tilt, that's exactly how you're going to identify you're on tilt. And that's when you can save a lot of your capital. All right. Going on tilt and trading is a death wish. That's something that you don't want to do. It's the same in poker. When you're on tilt, you can blow up your stack extremely, extremely quickly. And you need to be able to protect it. So things I did well, things I did poorly, and my focus for tomorrow. Don't go through trading like, you know, I'll just put it off till tomorrow. I'll put it off till next week. When you're over trading, let's say if you plan to stick to 2 trades a day, now all of a sudden you take 10 trades. No, tomorrow you're not doing the same thing. I don't care who you are. If you do it again, you should not be trading because you do not have the ability to take this professionally, right? To do this in a serious manner. And actually, Tom Dante was mentioning this because we studied from the same person. He DM'd me, or I think I saw on a reply to his tweet, he had mentioned that James 16, the person that I started learning from, told him something one time because he was about to quit. And he said, you know, I commend you for attempting, but if you cannot treat this seriously, you don't belong in the markets. And that's something that everybody should take as part of like advice. If you cannot treat this seriously, you can't follow your rules, you can't journal at the end of the day, you can't, you know, keep a track of your bottom line, you are not taking this seriously enough to want to make 7 figures from the markets. All right. So this is my evening journaling routine. You know, basically just writing down everything that I need to understand about how that specific trading day went and to know if I'm on the right track. Did I follow my rules? Did I follow the processes outlined from previously, right? Did I come to the markets the night before and prep? Did I get enough sleep? Did I wake up on time? Did I meditate? Did I go for my morning run? These are all things that you need to write down to make sure you're staying on track, because as soon as you go off track, right, you're going to start breaking rules everywhere. You know, even if you break rules on certain things, like if you skip a workout or whatever, you might not want to sit down and do the analysis for the next day. All right. Those small things leak into your routine and they do affect your performance, whether you realize it or not. All right. So this is just an overall, daily routine of what I do. All right. So this pretty much summarizes my daily routine, what I do pretty much the majority of my weeks. There are some days where I just say, I don't want to trade at all, in which case I'll just scrap all of this and come up with a different schedule. I'm still doing work, or maybe I'm going on a vacation and just need a reset. Because a lot of times when we're trading, we do need breaks. And what I like to think about professional trading is, at least, is you're going to have off days. You're going to have days where you don't need to perform. It's not game time every single day. Yes, you can trade every single day if you want, but I question, do you have the consistency to maintain your A+ game 250 days out of the year? Because there's not one single sport out there where they're playing that many days a year. All right. They're getting breaks in between. They have time to reset. They have time to watch tape. They have time to actually rest their bodies and their minds before they have to perform again. And trading is not like that, but you have to force yourself to be able to do that. Now, as you all know, having a routine is great, but knowing what you should do in the markets is just as, if not more important. So if you're looking for a simple trading strategy that I use every single day that helps me make over $1 million in the markets, then make sure you check out this video right here.